Welcome to Ask Earl Anything. This is a show where your questions make the show. Without your questions, I don't have a show. This is for May 2023. Couple things before we get started this month. April was an interesting month for me. I got to admit, right around Easter, I got sick. Kind of messed up my video schedule a bit. I still have a lingering cough, but I didn't get COVID. Got some other kind of thing. It was pretty bad for a couple days. Didn't really feel like doing anything. It was right on the weekend of Easter. But anyhow, I've been bouncing back, and the last couple weeks I've been feeling a little bit more getting in the groove and playing things. But just want to let you all know that the month of May is going to be a little spotty with covers and videos and things. Got some travel plans and other things going on during the month. I'll talk more about that in June. But the bottom line is a couple things. Number one is the sickness kind of hit me in April. Kind of took me back a step. I hit 7,000 subscribers. Thank you all that subscribe to my channel and love this show. But it kind of like I kind of hit my 7-year mark of doing this, close to 7 years, 6 years. I'm in my 7th year now, and I'm realizing I got to do this for the right reasons always. So I'm constantly going back and forth to what the right reasons are. Now, one of the reasons I do this is a legacy for my grandkids, to be honest. I have some budding drummers in the family, and someday when Poppy's not here, they'll have this to go back to, hopefully, and I'll live on in perpetuity as long as YouTube's around. So I hope my grandkids get to see this and see some of these shows and hear the way I love them and care about them. That's one of the reasons I do the talking shows a lot, is to talk about and to share for my grandkids in the next, and then when life changes. You know what I mean? They can remember their Poppy as a vibrant guy who played drums and had fun and all that good stuff. Not to be morbid, but I just did this song, Reflections on Life. I think that's what it's called, by Marmalade. Anyhow, it got a lot of hits yesterday. This is the weekend I released that cover. It's kind of funny, when you think about your life and you think about where your life goes from the time you're a kid right to I'm in that other stage of life. I'm in the last stage of life. I got a lot of life in me, and as long as I have a lot of life in me, you'll see me on camera playing drums as long as I possibly can. But I do these shows for my grandkids, That's one of the reasons I keep doing it. The other thing is it keeps me out there learning new music and practicing certain licks and things, even though my practice seems to be of stuff I've always practiced, It's hard to get past that, It's hard for me to go further with my drumming. Even though I will sit here and work on a linear lick once in a while, and I like to pull out books I haven't looked at in a while and groove on those books. And maybe in the future, I may pull some grooves I take out of books and just play them for shorts and other things when I don't have covers and things. I don't know. I'm thinking about some other different things to do. Another thing I'm thinking about doing is more story behind the gear stuff, so my grandkids know what they're getting when I give them a snare drum or a cymbal, what the story is behind that. So this is the reason YouTube's kind of fun. And then, of course, the people I interact with on a daily basis makes YouTube fun. So all that to say is, in a long-winded way, you may see a little less content from me for various reasons, and I may change some things up. But just know that those of you that follow, thank you for following. I appreciate it. Life is about living, and this is one aspect of living for me, is playing drums, but there's other aspects of living too. So next month I'll share a little bit about some of those other aspects of living, because I've got some things I want to share. The cough wants to come back right now, of course, while I'm doing the show, which is annoying me because it's not there all the time. It's a very strange cough. Anyhow, got a bunch of questions from a bunch of friends who like to ask questions, and thank you all that ask questions on the show. This is one I think I missed, but I'm not sure if I missed. I might have missed, might not have missed. I don't go back and watch Ask Earl Anything after I release it usually. This question comes from Brian Drums. He asked it a while ago, so this is just in case I didn't answer the question. He says, what is your go-to drum head for your snare drum? I might have answered this last time. It sounds like a question that I've answered before. Most of the questions I've answered before in different ways. But Brian's question is, what's your go-to snare drum head? My go-to snare drum head has been, and I think I have answered this question, so this is going to be shorter than I think it needs to be, has been for a long time the CS black dot coated head. I do use ambassadors and I use all kinds of stuff. I will do a little shout out to the head that's on this particular drum today. This is my Noble Coolie. This drum has a Genera HD head on it. And I've been really digging this head on this drum. So I just want you all to know that this drum has really been working very well with that head. Now, I don't know if it would work on my other drums, but this drum in particular, it does have a certain vibe to it that I kind of dig, and I've been enjoying. So it's probably the only Evans snare drum head I've ever liked. I love their bass drum heads. I love their tom heads, but snare drum heads have always been kind of a Remo thing for me. So ambassadors, the Remo CS heads. But this drum has just come alive with this head. So for the time being, that's the head on this drum. But Remo CS coated are my favorite, Brian. I think I did answer this question. So, but I did say I would answer it in May. So that's why I'm repeating myself. All right, another question. This is from Claus Isaacson. Claus is a great friend, watches a lot of the videos. He says he's intrigued by my drum rack. So I'll have a picture of my drum rack in a minute. I'll come in here. Now, my drum rack, which is over here on when you look at videos, a lot of times it gets in the video shots. One day I'm going to do a whole story about behind the gear, about every one of my snare drums. I'm going to do a story about each one. And it'll be short, because there's not so much story on all of them. But that drum rack is just a Proline snare drum rack. I bought it 2 years ago for like $109. I don't know what they go for now. It was worth the investment. I had snare drums along the top shelves of my studio for a long time, and I still have a few up there. A lot of times when you see the angle shot, you'll see the shot of the, there's a Black Beauty up there, and I've got a Steve Jordan up there. But over on the snare rack, I got about 8 snare drums in there. And then I got another couple snare drums along the top of the other rack where all the magazines are. But that's just a Proline snare drum rack. I bought it at Sweetwater, I think, for like $109, $110. So nothing custom about it at all, except I had to put it together. And works very well for what I'm doing. Now, what I have to do with the snares is I have to put this little piece of felt under the snares to put it on that rack. So a lot of times what you'll see, and I'll take some shots of this possibly, you'll actually see an orange piece of felt, and that's just covering the snares. Whenever I put the snare sit it on the kit, I have to pull that out. So a couple times, one time I think I recorded with it in there, and the snare sounded weird. And it was because I was muting the bottom of the snare. But it's a cool rack. Thank you for the question, Claus. Thank you for being a viewer, too. All right, the next question is from Fred Kellogg. And Fred asks a question. He says, let's see what the question is. Very nice, Mr. Hammer. As usual, I know it's not as Earl time, but when you do, could you please, Ask Earl Anything time, I guess is what he meant to say. Could you please answer a question? What's the deepest sounding drum head you can buy? I'm currently using a Remo Ambassador coated head, Fred. All right, deepest snare drum head I can find. I have a Phalem's head. It's actually a snare drum head for a marching snare drum. Now, I wouldn't recommend buying it for a snare drum, but the deepest sounding snare I've ever played is, well, actually, I've had a marching snare drum, but I didn't have that head on the marching snare drum. I put it on my 8x14 Black Magic snare drum, and it's not on there anymore. Otherwise, I'd pull it up and let you hear how deep it sounds. But I do have the head. It is a thick Kevlar head. So if you want a really thick sound, you put that Kevlar head and you tune it down. Now, the funny thing about marching heads is that the Kevlar heads are actually designed to crank. So you get one of those Scottish bagpipe marching snare drums that are really cranked up, and they got the brrrr, and the snares, you can hear them like, it's like really high pitched. They use those Kevlar heads on it because they can crank down on it and won't pop the glue ring and won't break the head. You can't do that on an Ambassador. You can only go so far, and then the head doesn't go any further. So those heads tighten up really tight. But if you want a thick, dead sounding head, you tune it down low, and that drum goes duh. And that's the thickest head I've ever put on a snare drum. It's very thick. It's a Kevlar material. It's not your normal Mylar. So I'd recommend that head if you want to try it. They're expensive too. They're not cheap, those heads. They probably last a long time because you tighten them up really tight and just play and it doesn't really kill it's harder to dent the head. When you have a head kind of loose, it's easy to dent the head. That's why my Evans UV1s are finally starting to break in on this kit. And you're starting to see dents on some of the heads. So, Kevlar, Phalem's head. Phalem's snare head. Mine has got a dot in the middle. It is extremely thick. Maybe I'll do a shot of me holding that head. I don't know. If I can find it in my pile of 14-inch heads. I've got heads everywhere. I don't throw heads away, by the way. I keep them. So occasionally a head is so trashed I'll throw it away. But I've got heads from 20 years ago here. Actually, maybe 30 years ago. Maybe 40 years ago. Gosh, I've been playing a long time, haven't I? So I got some old drum heads here, and every once in a while I'll recycle them and use them. Matter of fact, the Concert Tom kit right now, I just put new heads on it. There's a couple clean clear Ambassadors, but most of them came from the other clear Ambassador set, so they had some marks on it. Anyhow, that's the story of that. Thanks for the question, Fred. Next question comes from Vince Gomez. For Ask Earl Anything, regardless of the song, what are your cymbal color palette concepts? That's a mouthful right there. Cymbal color palette concepts. Considering contemporary, complementary. Oh, gotta read it. Considering complementary colors, contrasts, etc. Do you start with your ride and then choose cymbals for the song and then build from there? I really like when you have your 22-inch big beat with the two giant beats on either sides. Any insights is appreciated. Glad you're feeling better. Thanks, Vince, for the nice ending. What's the mystery to how I pick cymbals? I will say there is a mystery to it, by the way. The cymbal setup I have right here, I've done a couple covers in the last week on this smaller kit. It started out with a Rolling Stones song that hasn't been released yet, where I used a flat ride, my new 20-inch Zildjian flat ride from my friend Pat. And I based the whole Rolling Stones cover around that flat ride, a couple Chinas, and a Zildjian Armand crash, and a set of new beats. And that's where this kit came from. I decided to do a Rolling Stones song. You can't do a Rolling Stones song on the Picaro setup. Was really digging the Picaro setup. Now, the Picaro setup for this kit is the 8x10, 8x12, 9x13, 16x16, or 14x14. I did a couple Carly Simon songs and stuff on the Picaro kit. I did a couple Toto songs on the Picaro kit. But when I went to Rolling Stones, got to go to a 4-piece, 12, 16 works for Rolling Stones. So I do think about cymbals based on the song I'm playing. Now, as the weekend went last weekend when I started messing with this, I kept changing. So then I went to the Avidus 22 for a Jimi Hendrix song. That brought out the Armand 19-inch, by the way, beautiful baby, which I have a question about this cymbal. One of my favorites. Zildjian, by the way. My friend Mike Fasano gave me this cymbal. It even has his name on it, Mike Fasano. He does this to all his cymbals because he's a studio. Besides being a great drummer, he's a studio technician for guys. So he'll come in and set up their kits. He's got his own business, and he has drum kits he rents, does a studio rental business. Anyhow, he was on tour with Tiger Army, and it was the year my son passed away. It was a month after my son passed away. I saw him here in Fort Lauderdale, and he said, you know, I was using this cymbal, not digging it. I thought you might enjoy it. So he gave it to me. I love this cymbal, by the way. So anyhow, I'm actually doing the other question. So, but I think they kind of tie together. I'll give the question the credit for the question after this. But why did I pick this cymbal? Well, I love this cymbal. It's a great ride cymbal. So when I was doing the Jimi Hendrix tune, Mitch Mitchell, 22-inch Avidus, Armand 18-inch thin crash, this over here, and then I had the Wuhan 20-inch China with some rivets in it, and my new beats. So I pulled out that palette, and I was digging it a lot. And then I decided to do another Jimi Hendrix song called Hey Joe. And when I did Hey Joe, I said, you know what? Let's pull out the giant beats. Because the thin giant beat 24, I think is kind of Mitch Mitchell-y. Then, of course, the giant beat crashes and the 15-inch giant beat hi-hats. Can't beat these things. So they came up. So it all started, all these different cymbal choices were based on the song. So I'm listening to the song and I'm thinking, what does a Charlie Watts song need? It needs a flat ride. What does a Mitch Mitchell song need? Big ride cymbal, 22 at least. Thin 60 cymbals. You know, of course, the style I play, more triplet-y, more of that kind of stuff. So anyhow, that's where it went. And then I went over to the other kit, put new heads on it last weekend, and then went back to my Paiste. So my setup in there, when I'm playing in there with that kit, I tend to go with my Paiste 2002s lately. Every once in a while, I go with the 18-inch Crash 2002 and the 20-inch Giant Beat. But I've been really digging the 18-inch Crash with the 505 Crash, you know, which is from the 70s, Black Label. So that's been really digging that in that 22-inch ride. Normally, my ride with this setup would be the Big Beat, and the Big Beat will come back, of course. But I was digging the Giant Beat. So this weekend, when I came in here, decided to do a couple more songs that were interesting. One of them was that Marmalade song, Reflections of a Life. And that fit the Mitch Mitchell vibe, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like, yeah, these will work with that. I also included the 20-inch Formula 602 Sigil Ride Crash. So I used that on it too. And I really dug it. And then, this was Friday afternoon, evening, I pulled out a song that I'm going to be featuring this week at some point. I did Don't Stop Believing, believe it or not. Left-handed ride. And again, that was Mike Fasano saying to me, I was talking to him on the phone this week. And Mike Fasano said he was doing a yacht rock band thing. And he was talking about having to do that song. And I said, I'm afraid of that song. It's open-handed. I'm afraid of it. I tried it. But I needed a big bell. So the big bell, I kept the Giant Beat and I kept these cymbals and I did it on this kit. And it worked. It's not true Steve. Usually I try to play the part of the drummer. True Steve Smith kit during that era would have been those power toms, at least two on top, maybe 3, and a floor tom, and the ride way up here and deep deep bomb, boom boom bop bop. I tried to get it. I butchered it, but I had fun trying anyhow. And it's as close as I could get it. It kept the pocket. I felt like I did a good job on it. I didn't do a great job. I'm definitely not Dean Castronova. I'm not Steve Smith. I think it's a very unique part playing Don't Stop Believin'. Anyhow, Vince, I don't know how I got here, but I just told you about how I choose cymbals and how I think about things. So sometimes it's left on the kit and I just play what's here. Other times I really am decisional, like I want this and this to work together. That's pretty much it. Every once in a while, though, I'll think, that thin crash works great with the 16-inch thin 2002. And then other times I'll go, no, bring out the 18-inch 2002 in the thin. Or bring the 18 with the disc. So it all depends on what I'm hearing that day. And then I switch cymbals around, high pitch to the lower pitch, put the big one over there, the small one over here. It's really what I'm hearing for the song. And if it's the wrong thing for the song for us, hi-hats or ride cymbal or crash cymbals or snare drums or even the tom setup, I will adjust to make it work to what I think fits the song. Now, it may not be exactly what the drummer used. It may be just what I'm hearing. Yesterday I did a song called The Royal Scam, Steely Dan. Played it on the concert tom kit. Had a lot of fun with it. It's the Paistes, the 2002s with the 505 bottom over the sound edge bottom, 2000. Just song was killing it, but I don't think Bernard was playing a concert tom kit, like a full concert tom kit. He might have been playing concert toms, but it was probably going to be 12, 13, 14, or 12, 13, 16. It probably wasn't a Hal Blaine kit, you know what I mean? But it really worked for that song. I was playing all kinds of fills down the toms, up the toms. So the toms too, everything fits together. So I guess I do have a mindset about this, Vince. So sorry about the cough. Thanks for the question, though. I think that's a great question. I want to give shout out to the other question. Trying to find Eric Patterson. Eric Patterson on the Chambers Brothers. That was another cover I did that weekend. I don't know. I might have used the Zildjians on that cover. He said, sounding great. I noticed you have a beautiful baby ride on your left. I was thinking about getting one. Would you recommend it? Yes or no? So for Eric Patterson, this is a big yes symbol. By the way, the Armand series of Zildjians are some of the best sounding Zildjian A's you will get. And if they had a 22-inch in this series, I probably would have bought one. Because I think these cymbals are just amazing. If I ever find a set of 14-inch Armands, I may pick them up. Even though my new beats are fine. And I've got a set of Caropes. But my cymbal sound is more Paiste these days, so I kind of identify with the A's. And when I got this cymbal, I actually got the Armand thin crash for a birthday. My wife bought it for me when I was 51. It took years for me to find Zildjians to go with that cymbal, by the way. But when Mike Fasano gave me this cymbal, it was kind of like, wow, those two go together perfectly. And this thing is a beautiful crash, but it's also a beautiful ride. And don't take the rivets out. Keep the rivets in. You could take the rivets out and sound like a perfect crash, perfect 19-inch crash. It's 1,694 grams with the rivets in it. So maybe a couple of grams lighter, but don't take the rivets out. It just sounds great. It's very 60s vibe. So I enjoyed playing it on that Chambers Brothers cover of Time Has Come Today. Time Has Come Today. That was another freaky tune I picked, didn't I? Oh well. All right, so I've got through all those questions. I got a couple more questions here. All right, the next question comes from Kingy23 Drums. This is a long paragraph, which I will put in. I'm going to try to find the question. It's very hard to find the question. I'm going to read it. Okay, here we go. King E23. Hi, Earl. Not sure where to send a question on Ask Earl Anything. First thing, I've watched most of your Ask Earl Anything videos, and from what I have decided to start my own YouTube channel. Congratulations, King E23 Drums. Please respond to this Ask Earl Anything. Hope you see it. And if you started your channel, let me know. I'll subscribe to it. Okay? I do subscribe to a lot of channels. I didn't start drumming until I was nearly 58. I'm now 61. Because I worked in the mines in the UK, have children, I've never had the room. From another YouTuber, they said, record yourself. So I'm very much still learning. I couldn't agree more. If you can have the capabilities of recording yourself, there is nothing like listening to yourself play drums to learn how you're doing. So do it. Thankfully, I haven't had any keyboard warriors yet telling me how poor I am. I guess you do have videos. I'm going to go find your videos, King E23. Just going to let you know I didn't realize that till now because I saved this question for Ask Earl Anything. I will check your video out and subscribe to you. My question is that I am recording my videos with a Zoom Q2N 4K. Do you think I should spend more money on microphones and all the software, etc.? My concern is that I'm still learning the drums. Do I need to learn the other side of it as well? As I play only for fun. Many thanks. All right. Kingy, I don't think you need to spend the money on all the other stuff. You don't have to spend the money on the studio and all the microphones and the audio interface and all the stuff that goes into making this happen until you really feel you want to amp it up to another level. If I was just learning, that Zoom camera probably is just fine. Find a good angle. I don't know if that's the one that has the 4 inputs in it, you know, for microphones, because there is one that does that. But I have an old Q3 Zoom. It's a terrible video mic, a video camera. It's a great microphone. And I used to use that early on for some of my videos, but I always was syncing video with Recording Studio because I had a studio. So my YouTube channel came out of the fact I already had a recording studio. I've recorded albums here. I've mastered albums for people. I've mixed albums for people. I've tracked albums for people. I've tracked bands in here. I've done all kinds of projects in this studio over the last 20-something years. When I started doing YouTube, it was a natural extension. I already had the setup. It was just buy some cameras. And as you can see, I never went out and bought any GoPros. I'm still using an iPhone. I actually use a bunch of iPhones, old iPhone 10s and an iPhone 12 to record my videos, sometimes an iPad. So use what you have, get good at what you have. As long as the sound is okay, it's fine. If that Zoom Q4 doesn't do the sound for you, that's when you start thinking about other ways of doing it. But I would not tell anybody to go out and buy a full setup unless you are fully ready to go the next level with it. There's a lot of YouTubers that are doing this and they don't get super great sounds, but they get a decent sound. If you're getting a decent sound and you can see yourself playing, then enjoy yourself. That would be what I would say. Enjoy yourself, enjoy your playing, and learn from your playing. One of the things I realized this weekend, this is kind of funny, I'm bringing a lot of things into this. I had this, one of my subscribers, her name's Carrie, she asked me to play that song, Reflections of My Life, because she's in a band, apparently, and she's trying to learn the part. And she's only been playing a couple years, and I didn't realize how many people just watch me to learn songs, even though when I got into YouTube, watching YouTube drummer videos, it was because I was playing at a church and I needed to learn the new song that came out. And a lot of times it was easy to find some young kid playing all that tribal stuff that it wasn't really in my head to play at that point. Now I'm pretty good at it. I'm okay at coming up with my own stuff. But back then, I'd watch these kids play, dun, 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 you know, and play these worship songs. And I realized there is a learning component to YouTube. And I have a lot of drummers that watch me to learn how to play songs. So It's always cool to see that. It's also cool to record yourself so you can see how you're doing playing the songs and watch other drummers playing the songs. So I think it's a great idea. As long as your camera setup's working for you and you get a decent sound, stay with what you got. You move into the next level when you think you're ready for the next level. Like you want to do sessions for people, or you get somebody asking you to do remote recording, or you've gotten to that point where you want to do it. Now for me, having this studio in the last 7 years, I've recorded a lot of music. So I've heard myself and I hear how I sound, I know how I play, and I've learned how to get good sounds out of the gear I have. But I will tell you, I don't spend a lot of money on gear. Most of the gear I've had for 20 years here. Every once in a while you got to upgrade your studio's computer because that just goes one day. But for the most part, I'm pretty happy with what I got, and I don't really mess with things. So hopefully that gives you a picture of things. So I will say invest in a good set of monitors so you can hear yourself. But that's if you have the recording set up. If you don't have the recording set up, listen to a good pair of headphones. Have a good pair of headphones. So anyhow, Kingy23, good luck on your YouTube channel. Hope you enjoy it. And yeah, stick with it. Have fun. And if you do upgrade and you have more questions, don't hesitate to ask. All right. Next question comes from my friend Matthew Jackson, CCM drummer. I'm saying Matthew Jackson first because he asked me the question on my Facebook Messenger because we're friends. So, but this is CCM drummer, just so you know. He said, my question for Ask Earl Anything. My understanding of ghost notes is that they are strokes that are played in between the backbeat strokes of 2 and 4. That they are played softer than the backbeat strokes in order to provide a dynamic contrast. However, in praise music that I'm hearing today, many of the drummers play these so-called ghost notes at the same volume and intensity. And they play the backbeat at the same intensity as they play the backbeat notes. So, this begs a big question. If these in-between notes, I'm a terrible reader, aren't I, Matthew? If these in-between notes are played at the same volume as the backbeat, shouldn't they be called something else other than ghost notes? Because the phrase ghost notes would suggest very subtle, barely audible, which is exactly why they are called ghost notes. Is there another phrase in our drumming nomenclature that can be used to identify these non-ghost notes that are played at the same volume as the regular backbeat notes? Or do they need to invent a phrase for that? Well, I think they probably need to invent a phrase for it. I do know what you're talking about. Wow, I got the drumstick stuck in the... That was wild, okay. I do know what you're talking about because a lot of the worship songs today have beats like this. That is not a ghost note. That is playing everything the same volume. That's the skiff beat. That's the 9-year-old rock beat. And I think a lot of times it sounds that way. So you're right. That's not a ghost note. That is actually part of the rhythm now. So you're playing a rhythm that is decisionally not ghost notes. Ghost notes would be... thing for really hear the ghost notes come out. So what would I call those notes? I would call them just regular. You're just playing notes at the same volume. It's not really ghost notes. Now some grooves require this though. If that's what the beat requires, then you play the beat that way. If that's what the drummer in the studio did. It became a kind of a thing in churches to play that beat for some reason, that skiff beat, as my friend, a good friend of mine used to call it, that stupid skiff beat, he used to say. Used to hate hearing that beat, but that's the beat that you hear a lot in churches. So, But yeah, the ghost notes are definitely a lower played volume note. Now, it doesn't have to be super low. It just has to be less than the 2 and the 4. What do you want to call them, Matthew? I don't know what to call them. I just call them just more notes. So they're just part of the groove. Notes that are part of the groove. So I really don't have an answer to that one. That's an interesting concept. But there is a difference between ghost notes and just playing more notes. So I'm with you on that. And you never sent me that example you said you were going to send me of it. So I wish I had that example, because that would have helped me a little bit to answer this question. But I got to show off some ghost notes. You want to see some fun ghost notes? You'll hear them in a lot of songs. I play ghost notes a lot. I'm a ghost note guy. All right. I think I got one more question. Save this question for the end. This is from my friend Kelly. KM Can Drum. Now, Kelly's had done some really cool covers lately. I think Kelly plays some of the best drum covers in the YouTube world. He's very precise. He does a lot of stuff where he sings and plays drums. He's very precise. He plays the parts almost exactly to the record, if not exact. He's excellent. He's an excellent drummer. He should be. His uncle was Carlos Vegas. So just so you know. Carlos Vega was the session drummer of LA back in the 80s and 90s. And Carlos used to play with James Taylor before he passed away. Kelly's a great drummer. So Kelly's done a couple covers, and he's gotten some response from some of the original drummers. So this is where this question comes from. He said, wow, brother. Thanks, brother. I said something on his Dave Matthews thing. He said, I was really wondering if some of these YouTube covers get watched by the original drummer. I've got an old G drummer from not so as popular band comment on one of my covers, but no one of the caliber of Carter, laugh out loud, because this was a Carter Beauford cover. How about you? I know you've had some combos with JR and some other pros. So he's asking me if I've ever had any drummers comment on my stuff. The only one I've had is JR, but I took a lesson with JR. And that lesson with JR came because I sent him songs I played that were songs I think he played on. So I don't consider that a count, and he never wrote anything on any of my YouTube stuff. Now, Kelly had Aaron Combs of Spin Doctors write on his Spin Doctor cover. I think that's what he was talking about. Maybe he had somebody else too. That was really cool, Kelly. Congratulations on that. I know when I did Spin Doctors, Aaron Combs did not write on mine. That's okay. Didn't expect it. I didn't even expect to release that Spin Doctors cover. Matter of fact, I did it on a Friday afternoon, and I thought it kind of really wasn't there. But the next morning I woke up, I said, you know, it was there enough where I don't really want to redo it and spend another hour on it, messing with it. I was never going to get the intro. You did a perfect intro to Two Princes. You did a perfect intro to it. So your cover blows mine away as far as I'm concerned, Kelly. So you deserved getting Aaron Combs to write on it and say, great job. So, cool. But I have had a couple people from YouTube and Instagram comment on my recordings. And they were songwriters. So getting songwriters of the original song to actually comment on my stuff is pretty cool. One of them was Stephen Bishop. I did this cover, a Stephen Bishop cover that had a really cool drum part. Can't even remember the name of it. Somebody asked me to play it. And it had a lot of cool fills. I used some concert toms on it. It was last year. And about 7-8 months after the song was out, I get this comment from Stephen Bishop saying, great job playing this song. I think I'll find it and put it in here so you can see the comment from Stephen Bishop, what he actually said. The other one was I put up a Shawn Colvin song. Shawn Colvin was a singer-songwriter. She did this song that I played, I think she did it with Chris Bodie and Sting were on this song, I think Sting was on the song. Definitely Chris Bodie was on it. And I did a cover of it, and I put a piece of it on Instagram, and she wrote on it and said, great job playing the song. So I guess when you get the original songwriters to say something about your song and your cover, that's pretty cool. So if I don't get the original drummer to say anything, which I've never had really, had the original drummer say, great job on my song, at least not yet. Getting the songwriter to say something about your playing, that's pretty good. So that's my highlight. That's what I wanted to share. I thought it was a great question. Kelly, great job on your cover of Carter Beauford's, I think you did Tripping Belize. I think a couple guys have done Tripping Belize. Actually, my grandson keeps saying, Poppy, play Tripping Belize. I'm going, I don't know. I don't know if I have that. But I didn't think I could ever play Don't Stop Believin' either, so that's coming out. I didn't think I could do that song Lonely Boy. By the way, I released Lonely Boy last Monday. That's the song by it's not. I got Stephen Bishop in my head. Lonely Boy was done by Andrew Gold, and the drummer was Mike Botts. And I can tell you, I've tried that 3 times, and I couldn't make it happen. And last Sunday, I said, I'm playing this song. And I sat down and I played it for an hour. And by the end of the hour, I figured it out. I figured out how to get through it enough to put it up. That's where I'm at now. I'm at this place now in life where I want to play songs that are a little bit harder, that are things that are a challenge to me. Don't Stop Believing, super challenge. I mean, Matthew Jackson has been telling me play open-handed. Well, this is not easy. Now that part I got pretty well, but when you start doing a it's harder, and you're in the groove with the music, making it happen. So I did this like cheater thing where I did the 8 notes on my foot, and it actually kind of sounded pretty cool, so I left that one. I did a couple without the 8 notes on the foot. Anyhow, that's coming out. It's going to come out probably after Ask Earl Anything, so you'll see that this week sometime. But yeah, I may do Trippin' Belize someday. Who knows? I actually had another friend of mine, I think it was Mike from Canada. Mike, I think it's Mike Lewis. But Mike played that song. He killed it. Both him and Kelly killed those songs. Those guys are great drummers. There are so many great drummers out there on YouTube. Don't miss Jim Fly's 2 version of Lonely Boy, which is killer too. He actually added the cowbell. I don't know how he did that. Matter of fact, I just did this song, the Royal Scam song, and there's a tambourine part, and I wanted to put the tambourine part in so badly, but I said that is an overdub, and Bernard's got this little pocket he's doing on this song, and that overdub's not going to work in it. So I am not going to try to add the overdub on top of this crazy, because that's the pocket. It's all on the beat. It's such a weird, strange group, but it was fun to play. I had a lot of fun playing that. Anyhow, this is April 30th. This will come out most likely on Monday. I have this thing where I'm like putting it out at the beginning of the month. These are all the questions I could do. I hope you enjoy Ask Earl Anything. I hope to get it out on Monday. If I don't get it on Monday, it'll come out Tuesday. But anyhow, I brought a lot of different things that I've been doing into the show this week. Thank you all for the questions. I'm going to try to put them in there. I really do appreciate your questions. Your questions make the show. By the way, Earldrum merch. Nobody buys it, by the way. I think I've sold a mug, and all my grandkids got my shirt. So I'm going to try to come up with a cheaper shirt. You know, I'm going to put my Walk, breathe, rejoice, and play on the front of the shirt and sell it cheaper, black and white. Probably if I could sell the shirt at $20, maybe a couple of you guys will buy them. But color and the back of the shirt, I don't know. Can't seem to get that price down because this is a pretty complicated shirt, but it is my artwork on it. So anyhow, hawking the merch. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Please go to my spring store. Please buy my merch. By now you're all out anyhow. You're not seeing this. You're not seeing me beg for you to buy my merch. Okay? Thanks for watching Ask Earl Anything. Your questions make the show. Have a great day. And if you watch it to the end, leave me a comment saying, I made it to the end and I saw you hawking your stuff. Stop doing that. All right? Have a great week. Actually, a great month. We'll talk to you again in June.